going on, guys? So someone left a comment, really good comment, kind of asking like how I would review my own sales calls and like what I would look for and things like that. Now, I can't actually review a sales call for a few different reasons, but I'm not going to be able to show you me reviewing it. But that wouldn't really be that helpful anyway, I don't think, because I just kind of sit there and watch them because I know the framework that I'm going through in my head. So I think it's going to be more useful, honestly, if I kind of give you guys the framework and show you exactly how I dissect a sales call and what I'm looking for at every part of the call. All right. So it's obviously broken down into discovery, right? To start, discovery, pitch, price, objection handling. The very first thing that I am looking for overall is just, am I following the process correctly? That's kind of like the overarching idea that I'm looking for. Like, am I following the process? Am I doing what I know works and what has been really, beneficial for me throughout the process? Like, I know the process works. I made $7,000 last week, right? Like, I know the process works. I just need to follow the process. But then it goes a step kind of deeper. And I like to break it down into the parts. So discovery, as I'm watching my discovery, I'm looking back and basically, because I know what the reason that the call didn't close, because I've had the call. So now I've got a different perspective. Okay, why did this call not close? Let's just say the person wanted to think about it. So the reason that someone's going to want to think about it is because, they're unsure about something, or there wasn't enough urgency for them to do it in the moment. And where has that come from? So it really all stems from discovery. But what I'm looking for here is like the surface level conversation. Is the conversation that I'm having with this person too surface level? So I just reviewed a call and I was listening for answers. So, someone's like, cool, I've been watching X, Y, and Z. Let's say you have a personal brand. I've been watching you for a really long time and now I'm on a call. I think that you can help. What I should have asked there is, well, why is it taking you so long to book a call? But I didn't. I just went, cool. So that stood out. So on to the next question. I'm always looking for what's the next layer of question that I can ask to get me out of this surface level conversation that we're having. And honestly, this call that I just reviewed, it was surface level the whole time. This person was never going to buy because I didn't do a very good job of getting through the layers. If you think of it like this in discovery, like you're going to ask a question, they're going to give you an answer, and it's going to get you to this point, right? But the kind of the truth is down here. So this is the point of the first answer, okay? Like number one. Now, I do this all the time. I think a lot of people go to the next question after they've got this answer. But there's always something, it's like, cool. So they've just told me this, but like, what does that mean exactly? And now we've gone to the second layer. Now, people will be relatively open to giving you this answer, but the closer we get to here, the more pushback you might get depending on the person. So, for example, let's say like someone wants to they want to scale their business up, to 50K. And it's like, cool, where do you want to get to? Cool. So like, what's the motivation behind that? Cool, that's the second layer. But then okay, so there's motivation to make more money, but like, why do you want to make more money? And they're like, maybe give you a bit of pushback here, but it's like, why though? Like, what's that money going to give you? Oh, it's going to give me this. Okay, but what's that going to do for you on a personal level? Or how's that going to feel? And now we're pretty much at this point of, we're always just funneling people to the answer that we want. This is a whole sales call, but it can be applied to every single question that you ask. Yeah, it would feel amazing to have security for myself, my family, and be able to put my kids through college. That's a whole different answer and creates a whole different perspective and level of urgency versus I just want to make 50K a month. You have to be confident enough to ask these questions. And like, I was reviewing this call and just getting really, really surface level answers. And I think that's the most important thing, right? And that's really going to apply for, the problem stage of the discovery, the motivation stage or the desired stage, and most importantly, the consequence. So when I'm getting to the very end of the call, where I'm getting to the very end of discovery, other than these points here and the surface levelness and kind of like getting to the truth, I'm looking for urgency. Most important, because as we all know, closing someone on the call gives you the highest likelihood of someone doing something is typically on the call. So I'm always looking for urgency. Where's the urgency coming from? And when you review your sales calls, it's so much easier to see like, cool, this person had no urgency, or I didn't do a good enough job of creating that urgency. And I'll basically review the call, see the question I'd answered, pause it, and then just say out loud what I should have said and what I wanted to really ask, because you get to see it kind of slowed down, right? So slowing the call down shows you the gaps you've missed. It's just like being a professional athlete. You review game tape and you see the pass you should have made and the decision that you made versus the one you probably should have made. And it makes you kind of reinforces, okay, cool, like that's where I went wrong and I can correct that in the future. So it's really looking for how surface level of the answers. Am I really getting to the core of the reason that they've said what they've said? And what's the urgency behind this person kind of making a decision? That's really going to cover you through discovery. And then I'll just go and kind of write out the questions I should have answered, because 9 times out of 10, those questions are going to be applied back to the next call that you have, because most people are sort of similar if they're booking for the same offer. So I'll list out those questions and you're going to get to kind of see questions come up. And look, I'll do this and I'll still forget, like it does happen, but if you kind of repeat this process, it just becomes a bit more intuitive to ask that next question. But as long as you kind of understand that you're trying to avoid a surface level conversation, whatever comes to your mind is going to be the right question typically. So that's kind of discovery. And then obviously we've got pitch. Okay, so what I'm looking for in pitch is obviously my energy. Is my energy there? Am I really involved? Am I speaking clearly? Are things flowing well? But more importantly than that is, am I relating it to their problem? And then bridging the gap as us being the solution consistently. So am I consistently relating to the problem? Am I consistently bridging the gap as a solution? Those are kind of the most important parts of that. And I'm always looking out for that. So if you go through one part of the process, let's say you're a marketing agency. Cool. So so you mentioned that you're struggling with leads right now and you're not getting many appointments. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to run your Facebook ads. We're going to book you this many appointments per week so you can have consistency in your appointment booking, in your revenue, and give you, and have less stress in your life. You want to be doing that consistently. And that's what I'm always looking out for in pitch, to really make sure that I am hitting the points home often enough. Now, if you've got a good pitch, you should be doing this anyway. And then we really come to like, obviously price, but what everyone loves is, and wants advice on, is objection handling. Now, this is a byproduct of this, like every single time. So when I'm reviewing calls, what I'm looking for in objection handling is, do they really want to do this? Like, are they 100%, do they want to do this? And really listening, and you should be doing this on the call, but if you've missed the call, it hasn't closed, it's like listening back. Did this person really want to do this? Or are we still having a surface level conversation? Are they just kind of telling me they want to do this and I'm not 100% convinced? And it's easier to see this when you review a call. Surface level, you want to get out of the surface level conversation because no one's going to buy if you're just kind of doing that. So that's what I'm looking for in objections. And then I'm just kind of looking for, okay, if they definitely did want to do it, where have I kind of gone wrong? And honestly, you're going to figure that out during during discovery, but it's like, cool, was I going too fast? Right? So what was my pace like? If you think of objection handling, right, as a graph. So as a graph here, you've got time and intensity, okay? So intensity is like the intensity of the questions. When you start objection handling, time begins, you want to have the intensity low. So am I slow? Am I asking the right questions? Am I just kind of priming them to increase the intensity? So as the time goes on, you want to increase the intensity of the questions and the consequence of them not doing the thing. Now, something that I struggle with is I start up here and I go too hard too quickly. So it's like, okay, cool. Have I primed them correctly? Am I being empathetic? Have I maybe showed some testimonials? Am I giving them confidence? Am I really making sure that they 100% want to do this at every point? And then I'm like, okay, how did my end or my intensity? For me, what I'm looking for is, cool, did I start too strong, too quick? And typically that's the case. And then you can really just look as objection handling as relating it back to why'd they book the call, what's the problem, where do they want to get to, and what's the consequence if they didn't get there. That's really all that you're looking for. And then in terms of kind of like looking at the call, it's like, cool, did my objection handling line up correctly with this graph that I know is kind of how things need to be done? And I can just review my call against this graph. And have I primed them correctly? And do I leave on this note that I want to be leaving on? Okay, so that's the kind of the framework that I'm looking for when I review calls. Hopefully one day I'll be able to actually do a live call review, or if anyone wants to actually send me a call and they're happy for me to post it on YouTube, I will review your calls. I might put my email in the chat, in the description. If anyone has a call that they want me to review and they're happy for me to post it on YouTube, I will review that call for you, 100%. But this is basically the framework that I'm looking for when I review my own calls. So yeah, I hope this helped. I hope this gives you something to kind of follow and look at. But yeah, if you want a call reviewed, just send it to my email and I'll have a look.